Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. And welcome to week 4 edition of the 2025 Rookie Stock Report. Are you kidding me? We're through week 4 already of college football. Man, this goes by way too fast, having way too much fun. I've been doing this series each and every week with my podcast co host, Jason DiRienzo. And this week is no different, guys. We got 4 stock up players and 4 stock down players after week 4 of college football. You play Dynasty and you're looking to get an early look at the 2025 NFL draft class. And guys that you're going to be drafting in your rookie drafts, man, hit that subscribe button, follow along. We're going to be doing this show each and every week, along with a ton of NFL content for the 2025 draft. Thanks for watching. Let's get to the show. All right, Jason, let's get to the 2025 rookie stock report. I'm going to kick us off here, and I'm going to talk about Maryland wide receiver Taya. I think it's Ty Felton. All right. This is a guy that I really, honestly, before this year, did not follow much at all. All right. He is a true senior.
No clue who he was.
Yeah, 6'2", 181 pounds. He's played 4 games. He's had over 10, almost 10 receptions per game, over 100 yards and 5 touchdowns through week 4. This guy is getting some NFL buzz. He is starting to maybe be an early day 3 pick, but every year he's played at Maryland, he has had more yards in 2023. He had 732 yards and 6 touchdowns through week 4 of the 2024 season. He's almost already there at 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. And this guy is explosive. They use him a lot around the line of scrimmage, so I'm going to be kind of watching. I can't say that I've watched a ton of film, but he is getting some buzz. I'm going to be cutting up some of his films and putting it on the YouTube channel because I think he is getting the buzz, and that's warranted. I think this is a guy, Jason, that we're going to get when that all-22 film comes out. This might be a player. You know, we've seen these guys emerge as we get the Ricky Pearsall's, these seniors that kind of, this is the year where they kind of emerge, and you could go to the Senior Bowl and pop down there. So Ty Felton is a name to watch moving forward for our rookie drafts next year.
I see a lot of clips on X of him, and it looks like everybody's getting hyped up on him, and rightfully so. He looks like that kind of guy, so we'll see how that progresses with him. My stock up guy is going to be Ole Miss wide receiver Trey Harris, for good reason. The guy's already got over 600 receiving yards, and how many touchdowns does he have already? 4 on the season, and we're just a couple weeks into the year. So Trey Harris, I mean, this system, this offense allows him to an opportunity to get open quickly. It's a quick read offense. Jackson Dart just gets him the ball very quickly, whether he's on the perimeter, at the line of scrimmage. So he's definitely a focal point. I want to see, kind of like we talked about a little bit earlier, how this is going to look with Trey Harris once they start going against some better competition. But right now, I mean, I know this is a guy that you liked last year as well. You brought him to my attention. I liked what I saw. There's definitely some limitations, I think, within some of the athleticism and separation. But when I watched him at the line of scrimmage, he's got a really nice release arsenal. And I think that's what's going to help him against other competition that we're going to see that is at a higher level. But right now, Trey Harris has definitely got to be a stock up because he's just producing like a maniac, especially over 200 yards this past game against, who was it? I don't have it, but yeah, outstanding job.
Oh, I have it right here. It was Georgia Southern. All right.
Georgia Southern. Thank you.
Right.
Yep.
So,
thank you.
But in any case, yeah, he's been killing it. He's I think he's going to be probably he could be a day 2 guy next year, without a doubt. So with as well as he's been playing. So I like that call a lot. Second guy I want to talk about is some running back that really nobody's talking about as a 2025 NFL prospect. And I'm thinking if he comes out as a true junior Iowa running back, Caleb Johnson. I don't know if you've watched a lot of this guy, but he was a Devy darling, 3 years ago when he came out, because he popped for 760 yards and 6 touchdowns. But last year he just had a down year, averaged 4 yards a carry, only 2 touchdowns on the season. Again, got a lot of carries and stuff like that. But this year they have a new OC in town. And this guy just he is built well, powerful, low center of gravity, tough physical runner. And I just wanted to put him out there that Caleb Johnson, if you got him on your C2C squad right now, he's killing it for you on the college side. Now, does he declare for the NFL draft next year, or does he go back his senior year? And I really feel like there's a change, Jason, like when it comes to the early declares 5-6 years ago was like so important to be successful in the NFL. And I just don't think that's the case anymore. I think these kids are coming back back for the nil money. And the NFL might just like the fact that they're getting more experience in college, so they kind of get more of knowing what they're getting. So whether he's a
Right.
2025 prospect, but right now 685 yards, he is the leading rusher in college football right now. And I think just the draft community may have not caught up to just how explosive this guy is playing right now at Iowa.
That he's an angry runner, man. He's got like that Carson Steele anger to him when he's running. He's a lot of fun to watch. So, yeah, I think you're right, though. I think a lot of these running backs, especially where they get drafted and how they're valued, might even be making more money in college than they would where they get drafted in the
Mhm.
NFL. So that's a good call too. But he looks the part. I'm gonna go to a guy that I can actually feel good about right now, and I'm happy to see him coming on. That's Clemson wide receiver Antonio Williams, who we've been talking about at nauseum for a while now, and it's good to see that he's healthy. He had a really good game this past weekend, and he just looks like he and Cade Klubnik are starting to really get that chemistry going. And if Cade Klubnik starts trusting Antonio Williams, that's going to be good for Cade Klubnik too. And
Mhm.
they're both going to help each other out. And I really like what I saw from Antonio Williams, the separation ability. That first touchdown that he had, where he had to contort himself and catch outside of his frame, looked great. So good to see him healthy, and he's got that special teams contribution too, because he's being used as a kick returner that NFL teams are going to value. So that's going to already set him up for at least mid-round draft capital just based on that. So Antonio Williams is definitely a stock up.
Yeah, and I think that's a great call because last year he was probably a stock down for us, given the fact
Oh,
that
definitely. I had him as
it
stock down.
just
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's nice to see because I think you and I saw him his freshman year, and that's how long we've been doing this stuff together. At least 2 years
Oh
ago,
my God.
that all
It's
22 film
crazy.
we saw back in 22 as a
Oh my
freshman.
gosh.
He was just a space creator, and we really liked his game. So I like that
Yeah, he
call a
looked
lot.
great.
All right, so there's our four stock up players. All right, so let's talk about some guys that we thought maybe at the beginning of college football would be a little bit, you know, you know, more in the favor here right now, but guys that maybe are been disappointing given the value that we thought maybe where they would be in the
Uh,
2025 draft. The first guy I want to talk about is Iowa. I'm going back to Iowa, the tight end Luke Lachey.
mm,
Again, through 4 games, 18 targets, 12 receptions, 97 yards, no touchdowns. Now, last year he was nicked up, but the year before that in 2022, he had 346 yards and 3 TDs. All right. So I mean, before that, he really didn't do much as a freshman in 2021. So we know that we love our Iowa tight ends, right? There is a
yeah.
deep, deep, deep history of tight ends hitting our dynasty rosters from Iowa. And I think Luke Lachey has been thrown into that bucket only because of the production that has come from that tight end room. But right now, I think he's got probably one more year of eligibility. I'm thinking he does because he is a true senior right now. But I don't know, man. I just don't, unless he just starts putting more film on, you know, more tape out there for us to watch. He has been just ultra unproductive through 4 games. And so I don't know. He's a stock down player for me. I just think there's other players like Tyler Warren. We talked about Mason Taylor, all these other tight ends in the 2025 class that are just producing week after week. So I think he's just going to drop in the ranks only because we just can't really see. There's just not enough. He's only had 52 receptions in 4 years, and I just think there's not enough tape out there to really, know what kind of player that he is. So he was my first stock down player for week 4.
And I think that's a good call. I mean, we have to have tape to be able to evaluate
Mhm.
thoroughly, and we just don't have it. I think the NFL draft process and the combine is probably what might save him. So we'll see what happens because he checks a lot of the multi-sport boxes, athleticism, basketball background, all of it that we like to see from tight ends. So hopefully he starts coming on this season. But we'll see. I'm going to go to Colorado State, and I'm going to go to a receiver that has immense athletic upside, just is not getting the production and the opportunity that we thought he would on this team. I mean, he was a massive producer last year, and that's Torrey Horton. Interesting that he's not being utilized the same way. He's got 98 yards on the season so far, and we just expected a lot more from him. I know I did. That athletic upside, I think he's been clocked at 22 or 23 miles an hour, so that deep speed is there. It's just not manifesting for him. So at this point in time, with all these other receivers that are really starting to rise and come on and be productive this season, for Horton not to do that and be limited and still not hit the 100 receiving mark yet, in an offense that could really use him and use his deep threat ability, it's kind of it hurts a bit. So Horton is definitely a stock down at this point, just considering there's so many other guys that are rising.
Yeah, and I was always just concerned about his lack of physicality when I watched him play. You know,
That is a
nice,
good point. Yeah, the functional
nice.
strength is definitely a limitation.
So I that call is warranted. My second stuck
Yeah.
down player pains me, but I got to go with the guy that I was talking about earlier in the season that I was excited for, and that's Damian Martinez. And I got to just keep it real. And I'm kind of wishing now he stayed at Oregon State and didn't go to Miami because they're just
That's the
rotating.
same thing.
I mean,
Ugh.
you know, he rushed for 1,000 yards last year, averaging 6.1 yards a carry as a sophomore. A freshman back in 2022, 6.1 yards a carry, with 7 touchdowns as well. And this year, they just Miami's just rotating, you know, just with Fletcher, and you talked about Lyle and you know everyone, and even this
Even
week.
Kim Ward.
Yeah, exactly. So now all of a sudden he's finding himself in this mixed bag of running backs and can't showcase his skills. And some running backs, and I would categorize Damian Martinez as one of these backs where, you know, he just needs to be fed the ball. You just got to keep, like, he wants 20 carries a game. He
Agreed.
wants to get into the groove of the game. And I think it's really hard to like just go in for a series and then you're out and you know, you just don't get enough opportunity to break off these big runs. But I've seen zero wow moments. The only bright spot so far is he's getting more passes out of the backfield, showcasing his hands, which is, you know, not something that he really did a lot of at Oregon State. But he's got to be a stuck down player right now. I just moved him down, updating my ranks on my dashboard. There's other guys that are just producing week after week after week, and still think he's, you know, potentially has day 2 draft capital opportunity. But right now, he's got to be a stuck down player for me until I start to see some poppy moments on his film where I'm like, yeah, that's the Damian Martinez I saw last year at Oregon State.
I thought about putting him as a stock down player last week until I saw they were playing USF this past weekend. I was like, all right, let me give it a week. And here we are again. So unfortunately, that is a good call. We'll see what happens from here on out. And then my next guy is going to be a Notre Dame tight end, and that's Mitchell Evans, who last year got injured but showed really well before that. And coming back from injury, and you fully expected him to be a pretty focal point of this offense. And I'm not sure if it's the Riley Leonard effect or him being used more as a blocker, but the opportunities have just not been there. Even when he has the ball, I'm not really seeing him make a lot of yards after the catch. So I want to see that from a tight end for sure. He understands how to exploit zone coverage and get in those soft spots and be available for his quarterback. But it just hasn't been, the synergy between Riley Leonard and Mitchell Evans has not been there. And this is just not the same Mitchell Evans that we saw, when he had his opportunity last year. So right now, based on production opportunity, and I expect him to be fully healthy. Maybe he's not, but at this point in time, he's got to be a stock down.
Yeah. Again, he's a true senior and only has 38 receptions to his name. So if he has a 5th-year eligibility, that whole Notre Dame offense seems like it's out of kilter with this Riley Leonard, another disappointing player. I was really hoping he'd come in there and really command that offense and take it over. So there you guys got it. That is our 2025 rookie stock report for week 4 of college football.